You know what the difference could have been? That prototype head that you came out with in '93, the Mylar in the middle and the Kevlar on the outside. You remember that?
Look at you. I still got one in the garage.
Oh
I
man,
do.
you're gonna have to send me a picture of that so I could attach this on this so people know what I'm talking about. I don't even think George has seen that.
I will.
Mm-mm. Or maybe I saw it back then, but I forgot.
It's
Robert, how do you know about this?
number one. Back in VK, we got a couple of those heads, and I actually procured one for myself back then through. We don't need to say how I did it, but yeah, I procured one for myself that I put on a premier double snare that I had, just because it looked so different, you know. And then recently, somebody gave me a whole bunch of video cassettes, and there's '93 Vanguard, and somebody's holding up, look at this head, you know, and it's that same head. It has that. It's like that yellow Kevlar from like the '87 Vanguard used, but the center is a Mylar center, you know. And it was a trip when you'd crank on those, yeah.
Yep. I had this idea, and Rob Carson, who was my individual compadre for decades, was with Remo at the time. And I, talked to him daily pretty much back in the days when you're figuring out drum heads and what we're going to do, whatever. And I remember talking to him about a new head that I was tired of the Kevlar sound. I go, we need a head with options. I go, what if it was Kevlar and Mylar? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I don't know. What do you got? Can you do something? And he came out with that head with it was like like a silver dot, like the center of the snare head, right? It was all Mylar, but it was a Mylar head, and they added Kevlar on top of the Mylar, but cut out the center. So it's kind of like an overlay. And the first time, when we first got the prototypes, I'm going, oh my God, this is it. We have options now. Such a different sound from the center to the outside of it, playing different spots of the drum head, completely different sound. And we put one on and we tuned it up. To this day, it was friggin' awesome. It had that tone that we old school guys liked, by playing in the center, but it was still a lot tighter than you can get a plastic head back in those days. And then you go literally 4 inches to the front and you're playing on the Kevlar. So the pitch difference was amazing on the same head. And I was like going crazy. Yes, yes, yes. Let's crank it a little more. Wow. Totally blew up. We can never get one even close to being like that again. Because what happened is obviously the plastic stretch is a lot different than the Kevlar, and it just couldn't take it. And the glue would separate and all kinds of stuff would happen. And so it never really made it anywhere. But I kept one too. I have one in my garage that I go because I still think it's a great idea someday, and I've even brought it to my Evans friends and said, "Hey, check this out." Maybe if we get bored someday, we could go back and try to. I'm always looking for options with equipment.
I wish I could have seen their reactions when you showed the Evans guys to see what they had to say when they showed that piece of prototype history.
I think it was a video I sent them or something, but it was a couple of years ago, I think.
Us snare guys, we would always do weird things like that. Like we would take the dot off of the middle because the early flam heads had the dots on. So we would take the dot and we'd get the acetone and clean it up. What I really loved, my favorite thing to play on back then was actually, if you had played on a flam head for a little while, it would start to bubble a little bit. So you could peel the white part off and you were only left with the yellow mesh.
Yep.
That
felt great.
That was amazing. And it took away all the harsh sound, like the bite that the plastic would have. And it was just like, it was kind of like an in-between.
Yeah, and we actually did that for a while, but the problem was you couldn't hear them. They weren't loud enough. It felt great on the hands and it was a soft sound, but they just didn't project. Yeah, but no, that's kind of what we did with the System Blue heads that we're using now through Evans, is we got together and trying to get an easier feel, than what the Kevlar was, for example, with that same feel, but also with that same projection. So, yeah, we were still working on it. We're always working on it, right? You never stop working on trying to get better stuff.
Yeah. Kids nowadays will never understand the struggle of double hooping and triple hooping snare heads. Yeah, yeah.
No, they have no idea what we're talking about when we do
that. So Scott, I had a couple of questions that are bigger questions that you may not have an answer to, but I wanted to ask them anyway. Apologize for you being unprepared for these. I'll start with the heaviest one first. Well, and when we watch, something that I've noticed when we watch a lot of this content because of, and there's more of it now because of COVID. We get all these legends in the activity talking, and it always hurts me when anybody talks like they're out of date. You know what I mean? If anybody just, you can sort of see it in what they're, and feel it in what they're saying. Have you ever felt, I know you're always trying to push the envelope and come up with new ideas, but have there ever been any moments over the years where you felt really either out of date or old school, for any reason?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I mean, just with what I call them kids, but I won't call them kids, the members, the guys who are doing it today, what they listen to, the music they listen to, the music that they enjoy listening to. I mean, things like that where I'm going, what are you listening to? What is that? And it's like, okay, I can't say that. I'm still trying to be one of them. down deep inside, I'm still trying to be one of them. So yeah, a little bit, but that's why I have young guys on my staff that keep me informed if I need to. But it's still, as far as the activity, it's still about drumming. It's still about playing clean. It's still about playing the vocabulary. So I don't think I felt old that way, because I could still play a couple paradiddles. So it still helps a little bit that I can demonstrate some stuff, and still teach. I still think I could teach kids how to play better. So that's what we keep trying to do. I don't think that's really changed. I never felt old that way.
Yeah. Good. Another question.
I think I told you, I might have told you guys this, but maybe not. But I informed my drum staff, my Nick Garcias and Rudy Garcias and Nick Parsons and Sean Clarks and the Ben Moffmers of the world. I go, if I ever get to that point of being too old and I start making wrong decisions or wrong corrections, or I go, you'll tell me. You guys are in charge of telling me, just show up with my orange jumpsuit in the wheelchair and say, it's time. Let's get out of here. Because I'll go peacefully, but you'll let me know, right? I go, you guys are in charge of me. You'll let me know when that time has come. So they haven't done it yet, so I guess I'm still good.
I mean, it's a fairly common trap, especially now that we have multiple generations of people that have done the activity, reach the mountaintop in terms of success in the activity, and then they go out and teach, and a lot of them, sort of get stuck because they figure, well, if this got me to being the best in the world at this time, I'm just going to keep teaching that, and people really, really hold on to that. I imagine that because you've always tried to push things and innovate, that as far as the job goes, that you haven't really had to deal with that. But I was actually just curious, like if it had ever caught you off guard where you're like, I mean, even like the way the staff comes at you sometimes with some of the ways they talk about stuff and all of that. If you're ever like, man, they're thinking about this totally different than I am right now.
Well, and that happens.
Yeah.
That definitely happens.
That doesn't mean out of date though.
But no, I mean, and I embrace it. I absolutely embrace it. I go, oh, wow. Okay, I understand how you're getting that point across. I wouldn't have done it that way, but the kids are relating to you this way now, which is awesome. So I try to keep, learning as much as I can too every year. So you never stop learning. Never stop learning.
I just have one last thing on my end. Okay, we'll do this in two parts. We'll go 80s, 90s, and then 2000s, 2010s. Okay, if you had a Frankenstein, all the lines you've taught together to make the GOAT ScoJo line, which snare line, quad line, bass line, and we'll even go cymbals for the 80s, 90s, cymbal lines would you use? And that's going through Blue Devils and Vanguard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm going to upset too many people.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. We can do that.
Yeah, God, we had so many great tenor lines in the 09 era, of those 4 or 5 years of the 2000. So I'm going to just go with the 09 quads.
Well, hold on. We're going to do 80s, 90s first through those two
decades.
Oh,
you mean each decade?
No, not each decade individually, but we'll go 20-year spurts, like pre-millennium.
So you want me snares, tenors, bass from the 80s?
80s and 90s.
not just one drum line from the entire time.
Oh, if it's easier for you to do it that way.
It's definitely easier because then I could just do one section.
Yeah. But I want to get some shout out to the 80s, 90s guys too.
Yeah, no, of course. I'll definitely shout out. I mean, I'll take the 83 snare line. As much as I hated those guys during the day at rehearsals, which we've talked about, they performed phenomenal every night. Every night they were just, that good. '09 tenor line, definitely the 2019 bass line. And if we're going to go with the cymbals, I'll go with the 88 cymbal line, I think it was. No, I got to go with 91 Santa Clara cymbal line. We did some new stuff with those guys that no one ever saw before. That was pretty cool. We were playing diddles on the cymbals and a lot of different patterns that we were just seeing if we could do something different with cymbals and different sounds. So I got to go with 91 Santa Clara cymbal line.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, those Vanguard cymbal lines, they were pretty incredible to watch. And
yeah, we did a bunch of new vocabulary with them when I showed up. That's for sure.
The name that always comes up with those guys is the Jackal. Can you speak on him at all?
I would love to. One of my best friends in the world, Robert Shavira. We call him the Jackal. I gave him one of my DCI rings. I've given 3 DCI rings away that were mine. He was one of the guys that I gave it to because he never won a ring at that time, with Santa Clara. And his passion for the Vanguard, for the activity, for the drum line, for the percussion section was bigger than I've ever seen anybody's passion. He would do anything for those guys. He was a phenomenal educator, phenomenal teacher. And I kept thinking, and I think it was 92, was it? I'm trying to, maybe no, it was 93. Yeah, it was the 93 season, my last year there. And I remember calling my wife, Judy, who was flying back for DCI finals. And I go, hey, grab this ring from my collection. I'm going to give it to the Jackal. And I gave it to him because I thought he deserved a ring. So, yeah, his passion for the activity is just amazing. Such a good friend. A very good friend to this day. We Zoom every now and then still just to catch up on things. He's now in Nashville still playing. He was on the road with Don Henley for a while as a roadie, but also played congas for him a couple times. So, yeah, he's still in the music business. He's still having fun doing what he does. But he was the ultimate cymbal tech. All the cymbal lines today owe a great thanks to the Jackal because he started all that stuff pretty much.
Yeah, I've heard he was pretty intense, but passionate in a good way, not in a bad way, but like.
Yeah, you can go off on the intensity too, but I use the word passion.
Yeah, okay. We'll just call it very passionate,
We'll call it passionate. It's a safer way to say things.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the favorite question in a different way. Is there, and I'm talking full core, full everybody, full show. Is there a quintessential Scott Johnson Blue Devils show, overall show that represents you as a person on the field the best? Sorry.
No. Yeah, I don't know how to. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And I know we talked about this before, and I know it may sound weird, but I literally, when the season's over, that's get out. That's gone. What's next? And I've had that mentality for too many decades. And it's funny, you go back and watch stuff on YouTube now, and I did that to get my 2000s straight before this conversation today, because I didn't want to have any fact checkers getting involved with me. But as I'm watching some of this stuff, I'm going, oh God, I don't even remember that chart. No, this was cool. This was cool. So all these memories you start coming back when you're watching these videos, which I don't do. I don't watch videos of the past. I never really have done that, as far as this stuff's concerned. So I don't think so. To be honest, I don't know if I could pick one Blue Devil year that, was my favorite or that I liked the most or represented me.
Or even in the creation of it, because obviously you talked, pre 03, everybody sort of got their things in, and then after that, you had more of a here's who's going to determine things. However, as far as like where the ideas originally come from and what you want to see on the field, even if someone else makes the decision, I was just curious if there was like, where you were like, you got a lot of your stuff on the field and it just had your personality and had all of your stuff. And, or maybe it's just that every show has that.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully every show has that, because I get obviously a lot of licks in there. The one that comes to mind as you were talking was the looking through a glass darkly year, just because that was all these vignettes of my past. Not that it was my past, but it was the past Blue Devils that I was involved with at that time. So that brings back those memories of this is really cool. And I really loved all those little things that we did to kind of bring back that stuff. But literally, there's too many shows that are all, Jerry Seawright's voice in 2017. The Fellini-esque year. The stuff on the stage, the stuff we put, we put all those snare solo things together and stuff like that. God, the Burt Bacharach show that nobody really talks about, the 2011 show, which I thought was some of the best percussion writing we ever did, but it was just such a cool stuff that never really got the recognition. So there's too many. It'd been easier if I only did 3 years, but the fact that I'm, this is year 42 with the Blue Devils and add another 4 years for Santa Clara, that's a whole lot of shows.
See, I would have guessed 1976 is the ultimate show. But I guess
it was my first year in Blue Devils, so I didn't know. I was just doing what we're supposed to do. I didn't know it was going to be a good thing or we're going to win or we won, cool. I never did DC. I did DCI 1 year before that, and we were 13th, so it wasn't like it was just different. It was a very special year. Obviously, the first year Blue Devils ever won a championship, a title, all that good stuff. But we were like good all year long. It was kind of funny. It was like, well, we're not going to lose. That's the mentality. So it wasn't that. I hate to say that because it sounds so wrong, but it was just one of those moments where it's like we had a good thing going. We knew it. We were very different than everybody else. So that's one of the years that always sticks out. Of course, the '76.
So we're talking about like the ultimate Blue Devil shows to me, and like '76 is one for me. '88's another, '94, and probably 2017. '88. You had in the last podcast you had alluded that was one of the reasons why you kind of left in '89 was because the end of '88 left a bad season. Or it's not a bad season, a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you touch on that? Can you touch on that '88 season? Because I love '88. And
so do I. It was. Go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe it deserves some closure. As far as
if that's possible.
If that's possible, because there's a lot there.
Well, the bottom line is there's 2 better drum corps that night. Okay, that's the bottom line. We ended up 3rd, but the weird thing is just winning an entire season until the last night. That's tough. Yeah. That's real. And believe me, I've done it. I've been around long enough where I've done that where you go undefeated and lose. You go back and forth and then you win, or you don't win and then you win. With captions as well as with the corps. So I've been through all of it. That's the worst. When your whole drum corps doesn't lose a show and things are going so well until the last night and not even second, you're 3rd, that was a tough one. Even though it was a 10th, right? In '88, I think it was.
I'm not sure that was finish.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm positive it was. There was a 10th and a 10th and a 10th. Santa Clara won. Phantom was a 10th behind, and that's because they had a rifle drop that was worth a 10th of a point.
No,
back then.
That's '89.
No, I think this is '88.
'88 was
Madison.
Madison
Was second.
Madison Scouts won.
Oh, Madison won.
Yeah.
Madison won. Wasn't Phantom second in '88?
No. Vanguard was second, and then Blue Devils.
Okay, well there you go. There's my memory again.
It's the '88 was the year with the lottery draw, where they drew.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Where they do the numbers for the last 6 groups, right, or something like that.
Yeah. No, the whole top 12. It was like the bottom 6.
Well, yeah, but they separated 6 and 6, correct. And we picked 6, I guess, because we went on 6th from the end, even though we were winning all season long. And they didn't give out the awards or the placements for semis. Nobody knew what happened at semis, right? And we still don't know to this day. They still haven't released that, from what I understand. Someone said, no, Madison won prelims, that's why they won finals. And someone said, no, that's not true. So I don't know. You move on. I know you guys love that stuff. I don't. Especially that one.
The conspiracy theory of '88 is right up there with the '87 finals. There's so many in the video. They show like when Madison picks her envelope, there's somebody pointing to, like a finger in the box. So it's like they're pointing to them, point that way. It's probably not. Yeah, yeah.
I know the whole story, and I'm sure it wasn't anything that was bad. It was just happened to look. People can blow anything out of proportion, right?
And then Reliable Rondo goes, "Beware of the dark horse," and the Madison Scouts. And it just gets so blown out of proportion, I guess. But I mean, for you guys, it sucks. And like for me, the thing I can never understand is how that drumline plays lower than what I thought should have got. But I don't know, because that seemed like such a clean drum line, and I don't know.
That was a very attitude-laced drum line. They were extremely cocky. They didn't want to rehearse. I mean, I remember yelling at them a lot. And I remember I judged them the night of, or the day before semis, our last run through before the shows, right? And I did a tape. And I remember at the end of the tape, I said, we're going to be lucky if we're fourth in drums. I remember saying that on the tape. And we played it for the guys, and they go, "Oh, come on, thanks for the confidence." And they were getting all bummed out at me, and I'm going, I'm being real. I'm trying to be as honest as I can be, guys. I go, that was not a good performance. You're much better than what you're doing right now. And I think we took fourth in finals in drums. I think we did. But it was just that was the ultimate in lazy drumming right there. The lazy drum line, I should say. That was also the infamous 5-stroke roll. Did you ever hear that story?
Nuh-uh.
George, did we ever do a 5-stroke roll? Do you remember this?
Maybe. I mean, when you talk about it, maybe.
Well, rehearsing all day long, whatever. And every now and then I'd go, okay, if we play a perfect 5-stroke roll.
Yeah, we did that.
Perfect. On the downbeat, we're done for the day. No more rehearsal. And I'd go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and brrr. And that's everybody. Bass line, tenor line, snare line. Everybody had to play a 5-stroke roll. And it's been a thing. We even did it. I mean, to today, I still do it. And it's just something to have fun, And the only time it was ever perfect was '88. We had a rehearsal block. Float was gone. He was at the hotel doing something. And it was me. I think it was, God, I want to say Glenn Bucher was on staff then. I could be wrong. I don't remember who else was with me that year with the '88 line. It's going to drive me crazy. Maybe it was Keith Higgins.
Keith Higgins.
Anyways, whoever. Yeah, it could be Keith. But whoever was on that staff. And I remember I went up 5-stroke, let's go, 1. And I always try to catch them off guard. Literally where guys are like, oh, wait, they throw their drums on because I know they can't play clean if they're just freaking out, right? Because I want to keep rehearsing, of course. But I remember I kicked it off one time and they went, and they all just, and I looked over at Keith or whoever it was and I went, I think they just did it. He goes, it's pretty clear. I'm going, and there was like 2 hours left to rehearsal. And it was like, okay, you're done, but don't go in the gym. Don't go over here. The rest of the course still rehearsing. I didn't want to have that. Like, you got to go hide over here and just chill out or whatever. But they did one. But so, yeah, that was a one time. But the other guys, they tried to get smart. This is the Brandon Olanders in the world last few years. I go 5-stroke, here we go. And literally one time I kicked it off. I go 1, 2, ready. I go da 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 da. I went no.
That takes some planning.
We're not talking.
Yeah.
They definitely planned way ahead of time, of course, and they all were on the same page because they didn't give the sign or anything. They just next time Scott calls us, this is what we're doing. But yeah, just some of that fun, see if they could play a 5-stroke roll clean on the downbeat. It's easier on the upbeat, by the way, so you got that release on the downbeat. But just one time they actually did it, and that was the '88 line.
You need some new tricks.
5-stroke story.
You need to come up with some new stuff.
I know, I do.